Hello there everyone, it's Cassie. Welcome back to another video here on my YouTube channel. Today we are celebrating the brand new release for Trinity stamps. So let's talk about what we are using. I have the gorgeous Elegant Christmas Sentiments, and there's also matching dies to go along with it. These are, oh, yeah, I love that. We also have the Sketchy Nativity. I'm not going to be using the stamp set, but I am going to be using the die for the star, but that stamp set is gorgeous. I also have our Papercrafting Magic stamp set. That one's an older one, but we're making an interactive card today, so I need this one. And we are going to be using a one light today. So if you're new to the idea of light up cards, I've got a one light. This is a 6-pack. It comes with 2 halos and 4 one lights. We just need the one light. So we're going to be doing that. I also have some soft white vellum from Trinity stamps. We're going to use a couple pieces of that. And then I have this gorgeous new arch-shaped card die set. It's got so many dies to it. And so I need this biggest one for some navy cardstock. That's going to be our background. And then I'll use, of course, the card base itself. So I'm going to start out by grabbing the star die. I'm going to do my best to line that up on my glass mat. I want that to be fairly centered. I don't know if I did a very good job. I thought I did. Doesn't matter in the end, right? It's a handmade card, and that's okay. A little bit of off-center's the charm of it, right? So I'm going to tack that down with some mint tape, run that through my die cutting machine, and then I'll have the star. But I do want to put that star right back into place and tack that back in there with the mint tape on the back, because this is going to be my background, and I want to do some splatter. I'm going to show you a very simple way to make a night sky. Start off with some navy cardstock. I'm going to bring in some Picket Fences white paint. Just water that down a little bit with my little distress water sprayer. Use a tiny paintbrush, and then I also have this little splatter flower that I have, and I'm splattering that ink all over the background, or that paint. And then I'm going to come in with a little bit of gold paint. The gold paint is really only because I love shimmer. Don't we all, right? Or at least most of us. So I'm going to splatter some of that gold paint all over the background to add to the stars, and also just to make there be a little bit more shimmer. But that's it. You could make a background using your distress inks, your distress sprays, any kind of medium that you have, but I just wanted to show you a very simple way to do it, especially since this is a Christmas card and we're already adding the interactive element to it. Now, if you do want to make one of the arch-shaped cards, you're going to need a full piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. I'm going to use the scraps of that to stamp out our sentiments. And so I'm just deciding which ones I want. There are so many beautiful sentiments on here for any of your faith-based cards, but I love the font of it as well. This beautiful cursive script is just stunning. We're going to set our background off to the side to dry, because here comes Miles, and you're going to see him a lot throughout the rest of this video, because my poor baby is in need of some attention, and he actually needs attention anytime he's awake. So 20 hours out of a day, this poor boy needs to be loved on or cuddled or pet or whatever the case may be. So I do apologize if he gets in the way, but that's my needy little boy, and I'm okay with it. So I stamped out Glory to God, and we're also using In the Highest. I'm going to bring in the matching dies to go along with those, because I do have them, and I love the detail of them. I'll show you that here in a second after I've die cut them out, but I'll just tack that down with some mint tape and then run that through my die cutting machine. And then I'm going to bring in my pickup stick to just show you some of the detail of these dies. So it'll separate some of the words. You, again, don't have to have the dies, but check this out. There's even the tiny detail of in between the H and the I for highest, and also the H and the E for the. Isn't that beautiful? My background wasn't completely dry, and you definitely want it to be dry before you move on to any of the other steps. So I'm going to hit that with my heat tool. And now that it's dry, we'll bring in our card base. And then this is where I can take the mint tape off the back, and I can line this up and then use a little bit of liquid glue to put our star down. Now that star is going to get covered up, but I really did want the background to be dark, which is why I'm putting that in there. So I suppose I totally could have skipped putting it back into place if I wanted to, since you're not going to see any of that splatter. I'm bringing in that vellum from Trinity Stamps. I'm just cutting off a chunk of it. I will need another chunk later, because I decide I need to soften the light just a little bit more. We'll use a little liquid glue and tack that down behind the star. And then we're going to bring in our one light. Now the one light, I already put it together. It just takes one of the batteries that comes in the set, and that's it. It's so simple. And so I'm showing you, I'm trying to play around with it, and you can see the mechanism behind the star, and I don't like that. So that's why I'm bringing in another piece of vellum. And so we'll just glue that down behind there as well. Being kind of messy with it, but that's okay. No one sees the back, right? And there you go. That's a whole lot better. If you really wanted to completely cover that and, you know, still keep the light, you could add another piece of vellum, but I was pretty happy with just the two. So I'll use my liquid glue and we'll adhere down our mechanism. And then just kind of play around with it to make sure it's good enough. And it is. So now I'm going to bring in some foam tape. This is called the world's best foam tape. I'll have that linked down below. And I'm going to put that all around our background, just making sure that I leave a little bit of that white on the sides because my piece doesn't go all the way to the edges. But I want to make sure it doesn't sag around my mechanism, so I made sure to put some more in there. We'll peel off that release paper. Poor Miles. It just never gets enough. And then we will attach down our panel to our base. Now what makes this foam tape so amazing is that if I didn't get it centered the first time or put it on right, I could always peel it off. You have about 30 minutes and then it's permanent. But I did a fairly decent job, so we're going to stick it and leave it where it is. Now I have to decide how I'm going to put my sentiments on there. And so this is what's kind of fun about those being separated through the die. You can play around with how you want to place that on there. And this is the layout. So I'll glue that down with a little bit more of my liquid glue. That gives me a little bit of wiggle room just in case I didn't get it on there straight enough. That gives me, like I said, the wiggle room. Then we'll glue down the bottom one. Glory to God in the and highest. And of course, Miles is back. Always when there is any sort of wet medium or glue, he has to participate. And so here's where I bring in the paper crafting magic, because it has different sentiments like push or press, pull, all those. And so it's perfect for any of your interactive cards. All right, buddy, you got to move. I'm going to ink that up with some more VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. Just a nice crisp black ink. And then I'll trim that down just using my scissors. You could put that in your guillotine trimmer to make sure everything is nice and straight. But for some reason I decided to trust myself today and just trim it with the scissors. I do it on a separate piece of paper for a couple reasons. This way I can find exactly where the button is, and also it makes it a little bit more obvious where the push is so the recipient knows. I'm lining up a couple more sentiments. This one says Christmas Blessings, and I'm trying to make sure that's good and straight, but I'm not doing a very good job of doing that. So I put it back on my glass mat. This is going to go on the inside of our card. Another reason I really love this group of Christmas sentiments is because there's just so many options, and then you can put some in the inside. So now that that is done, that's going to finish off our card for today. Like I said, this is a part of a hop, so I'm going to have the information all linked down below in my description box. Be sure to head there so you know where to hop to next. I hope you like this card. If you do, hit that like button. Definitely consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. And as always, I'll see you very soon in another video. Bye, everybody.